Greetings and great things. It is Q Talks, and I am back once again with another podcast episode for you guys. So, thank you for bearing with me as I pick up the consistency here. I try to keep it weekly, but it has been kind of bi weekly sometimes. But this podcast, it means a lot to me. This community means so much to me, and I am determined to keep showing up and to keep growing it for all of us as well. So, if you're here, it's because you resonate with this content. If this is your first time finding me, welcome. Welcome to Black Swan Theory. This is a community that I have built and that I am building for others like myself. If you want any tips or understanding on what it means to be a Black Swan, I have made some videos in my previous YouTube. There's a playlist on my YouTube called Black Swan Diaries, or if you just scroll through my videos, you will see videos relating to what it means to be a black swan. So, as I've discovered, like talked about a lot of topics already on my podcast, I am thinking and I've thought about different ways to like keep going and still give you guys content that I know will serve you, right? And will allow you to also understand the ways in which that I am trying to be here and to serve you. So this video, this particular podcast, I might put it in the title or not, but this is kind of like a reflection, right? So this is a moment for us to reflect together, and this is a moment for you to reflect, a video for you to use to reflect on the topic at hand. And today's topic is why you keep outgrowing people, right? So that is the topic of today. And again, if you are resonating with me with this content, you probably resonate with that, and that's something you have experienced in your life or are currently experiencing, right? You have outgrown people, you tend to outgrow people, or you are currently in a phase of your life where you have outgrown your circle, your people, your community. Okay. And I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about kind of like what it means, why it happens, how to deal with it. And then for the rest, we can talk in the comments and we can discuss it further. So I genuinely believe that, and I always love pulling back to my black swan analogy, right? So you see a lake full of swans. All the swans are treading the water, they're on the water, and there's one black swan. So this one black swan, or if you were this one black swan, you would have had to evolve differently. You would have had to adapt to your environment. And you would have to be, you know, metaphorically speaking, slightly different, slightly um, more able to withstand criticism or, attention because you're the anomaly, right? You're the one that stands out. And I have my notebook here if you wonder what I'm looking down at. I used to use my phone to script, but with this, I've decided to write it out um, in my notebook to kind of just help structure the videos. So this black swan is different than the rest. And when you're different, when you have had to face adversity, when you have stood out, this preps you to be different. This molds you to be different. This shapes you to be different, right? So automatically, the way that you respond and you deal with things will be different than the other swans. Okay. So now pulling this back into present day, into our lives, my life, your life, when you have lived a certain kind of life that has caused you to grow in certain areas quickly for whatever reason, it means that in life in general, you will find that you shift and you change and you adapt quicker than others. And this is because you are someone who adapts and evolves quickly. and that's okay. Being able to adapt and evolve quickly is a beautiful skill, right? But at the same time, when we are social creatures, we want to fit in, we want to get on, we want to get along. And when there is one person who is different, who is shifting, it, it either challenges the group to do the same, or that individual ends up being kind of like outcasted in a way by the group, or just looked at differently. It's not always in a negative way, but sometimes just because others don't understand why it is that you are different or are choosing to be different, right? So something that I really want to touch on here is trauma, right? And the effect that trauma can have. It's particularly trauma experienced early on in life or in childhood, but also any large scale traumatic events. When you have had to deal with certain things, like I said, from a young age, or just certain specific things before others have had to deal with it, this automatically equips you with the ability to adapt and evolve quickly. Because when you were younger, when you were dealing with this environment or this trauma, you had to shift, you had to change yourself, you had to mold and adapt in order to be resilient and to survive till today. And sometimes what we don't realize, what we don't recognize and understand, is that that is a gift. That is a skill. I won't call it a gift, I'll call it a skill that we received from from those situations, right? But other people that have not had these sort of circumstances or experiences, they will have never had to develop the ability to adapt to circumstances, to evolve quickly, right? And to mold and shape themselves rapidly. So, this is where sometimes the difference lies in you and other people. There is a skill that you developed, and you developed it quickly, or you've developed it at a young age, or you developed it in a moment of like survival, and other people did not develop this skill. So, in relation to others, when you are able to quickly shift, quickly adapt, quickly change, quickly think in moments when others aren't, it looks, it looks strange, or it's something that people do not understand. But I'm here to let you know that I understand, and I'm here to help you to understand why it is the way that it is. You know? So like I said, that is one of the biggest points that I want to touch on, is the fact that trauma gives us this skill. Now, secondly, when you find yourself constantly outgrowing people, oftentimes or sometimes this can be because the people that you are meeting, right, and the people that you come into contact with, again, let me know if you resonate with this one. They have a perception of you, and this perception quickly or later shifts, right? So people meet you and they perceive you to be one way, they perceive you or expect you to be one way. And then they come to find and realize that you are different than what they had imagined, or that you are more than what they had imagined. This is often why you can find yourself outgrowing situations, outgrowing people, because really and truly, it's not you, it's the perception they had of you, right? Because you can find people coming into your life, you can meet someone, and then you can think, why did that not lead anywhere? Whether it's friendship or relationship wise, why did things fizzle out so quickly? Why did things take a different turn than I was hoping? This is because the perception that others have when they meet you, which is not your business or your fault, oftentimes when they realize that this perception isn't the truth, isn't who you are, they lose interest, right? Or they find that they can't keep up with you, or you're, like I said, more than they were willing and ready to take on, to comprehend. And this is why you end up outgrowing them. You end up outgrowing situations and circumstances, and these people, because what they wanted you to be and the role that they wanted you to play in their life or in their relationship to you, you're not here just for that, or you're more than that, right? And there's, again, nothing wrong with this. If anything, I encourage you to be completely and totally who you are. And as they say, those who get it, and they'll come along. And those who don't matter. Lastly, okay, no, no, lastly, the next point into why you keep outgrowing people, right, is when you have an inner calling or a purpose that sits outside of relationships. What does that mean? Let me explain, because I relate to this. When you have a desire to achieve something in life, when you have a specific calling or you have a purpose, whether you know what it is or not, but you feel it from within, and it's outside of getting married or, having a partner, when you have these types of goals, sometimes they drive you and they motivate you and they cause you to, keep moving and striving forward in order to achieve and reach that goal. Other people in life do not have certain goals, or their goals are different. Their goals are more community based, society based, relationship based, right? So when you have certain types of goals that you, and thoughts and ideas for yourself that you're not willing to release for others, this is why you sometimes, again, outgrow people, outgrow relationships, because what you ultimately want, is beyond that person. You appreciate them, you're grateful for them, but this isn't it for you. You want more, right? And unless you have other people around you that understand that you want more, or that also are on their own path that either aligns with you or that keeps them busy, but you guys can come back together and discuss, what you guys are doing, and then go back to what you're doing. You will often find that you do outgrow friendships and you do outgrow relationships and people, because when you're, for example, trying to focus on your goals, film your videos, film your content, do what you're doing, they maybe just want to spend time with you or hang out or see you, and they're not understanding or realizing that that is not a priority for you. And this isn't a good or a bad thing. I'm not saying that those people are wrong for not having goals. I'm not saying that you should like X out everybody in your life just to focus on your goals. But what I'm saying is that sometimes when you do have these feelings, this purpose, this calling, these goals that you are focused and set on, you have to make a choice and you have to prioritize. And oftentimes you will prioritize what is most important to you, right? I have had to do this myself with friendships, with relationships, and even with family. Maybe there are people in my family that don't understand me, or that might think that I think something of myself, but really and truly, all I'm trying to do is achieve my goals. And I know that that is what I need to do above other things, above anything else, because that is the calling that I feel inside. And then, lastly, and most beautifully, when we understand that change is the only constant, right? We don't cling on to things. So we don't cling on to things so tightly. We don't attach ourselves to people in a way that we are unable to see ourselves or see our lives outside of them. We understand that change is the only constant, it's the only guarantee, right? So if something needs to change, if something needs to shift, we are willing to flow with this, and we are willing to allow this to happen. Sometimes that will look like walking away from certain relationships, or realizing that you and someone no longer align. And this could be, again, why you keep outgrowing people. But it's not a negative thing, it's that you're more willing and able to accept. Sorry, guys, my storage. Anyway, back to what I was saying. When you're more willing and able to adapt, right, to change, because you understand that that's the only guarantee, you are able to, like I said, not hang on to things in the way that some people might. And that's not a bad thing, it's a beautiful thing. As always, I remind you guys and I refer to you guys as black swans because I want you to know how beautiful, unique, and rare you are. And I don't want you to fear it because I know how scary it can be when you're wondering if you're making the right choices, if you're doing the right thing, if you're thinking the right things. But like I said, when you know your truth within, when you know your intentions for your life, for yourself, for the world, and for people around you, when you know what you've been through, where you've come from, and where you would like to go, you have to be able to accept that sometimes other people are not going to come along with that and they're not going to come with you and they're not going to understand. And you don't have to explain it. The most important thing is that you don't doubt yourself or discredit yourself or think less of yourself because other people haven't understood or don't want to come along or don't fit on your journey, right? And that's it. If there's anything else that you want to talk about regarding outgrowing people, or if this is something that you resonate with, or any of the things that I mentioned, you want to talk about it a bit more, you want to tell me your side, please comment it in the comments. I would love to hear it. I would love to know how this topic relates to you. And I can't wait to see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.